This is a first look at some of the New York Giants personnel previewing the Ravens' visit to New York in Week 6. Of course, we know the Giants have a top 10 defense in terms of points allowed right now being led by former Ravens defensive coordinator Don Wink Martindale. First guy I chose to look at was Kayvon Thibodeaux, and there's a lot of guys who jump off the screen, to be honest with you, so I might make mention of other players during the time. Ravens fans who don't know, they've got two very young outside linebackers, Kayvon Thibodeaux and the Ojulari, who I think was out last week in Week 5, but I could be wrong. I know he missed time. Additionally, Jihad Ward plays for this team. Tony Jefferson also has been signed there. Tyree Phillips is there. Makai Polk. So there's a number of ex-Ravens. But the guy we're focusing on today is Kayvon Thibodeaux. First round pick, New York Giants. There was some controversy or differing opinions about Thibodeaux, in the pre-draft process. I just thought that the talent just dripped off the screen clearly, when you watched him play. And the thing that struck me wasn't the sacks, wasn't the ability to rush the quarterback, it wasn't his use of his hands and his strength in the run game. Those things were kind of expected with the stats and with the position of outside linebacker in a 3-4 structure. The thing that struck me was how talented and how aware Kayvon Thibodeaux seemed to be taking pass drops. And I'm talking about at Oregon in college. And they're using him to take pass drops and play cover 3 occasionally as well, particularly to a side where you have a tight end and a wing, two tight ends next to each other in an alignment. So, and I'll go more into their first down defense and third down defense calls in the next couple of days, Friday and Saturday. But today is just going to be a basic look at Kayvon Thibodeaux and some of his performance so far this year. 8 total tackles, only played 3 games. I think he has 1 fumble recovered, 1 or 2 quarterback hits, 3 passes defense, though. And you're going to see some evidence of that in this video. Only 11 plays, but I think it gives you an idea of the level of athleticism that you've got and the ability to impact the game, quite quickly, if you ask me. Not really getting the pressure here. I'm going to show you some plays that are good, some that are not so good. Occasionally, you would say he doesn't have a pass rush move in mind. You would say he doesn't have an outstanding move yet. He's got a great get off when he's attacking. He's not really attacking here. I think that's obvious, and not really running the move, of any sort, to be honest with you. But over on the other side, you've got Ojulari, who has done an excellent rip and gets a forced fumble, if you ask me. I think it was ruled a forced fumble that Kayvon Thibodeaux recovered. Got a great motor, gets after the ball. He gets blocked occasionally on one side and ends up making the tackle, or in the case of the last play, a fumble recovery on the other side of the field. All right, a typical pass rush situation, and he's great at this. He's great at getting his hands on the ball and tip. I believe he tipped that football. I'm not sure on the stats, what the stats say, but Kayvon Thibodeaux is fantastic at this. And I've got 3 examples of this in this video, and I think the Giants are teaching this overall, to be honest with you, because there's a 4th example in this video of a teammate, besides Kayvon Thibodeaux tipping a football. But you can see very clearly there, it looks like the ball was impacted in flight. So he's got a great awareness, if you ask me. He's definitely a guy who's played a lot of edge in high school and college. And so he has that awareness of understanding, okay, the ball's out, and I'm not going to get there, so let me get my hands up. But it's more than just awareness. It's having great eyes. And I think he has great eyes. I'll show you a run play later on that hopefully illustrates that. He's left free here, so there's no one to block him. Again, gets his hands up when he realizes, the ball's being thrown. He can see it. It's clear. It's in front of him. That's easy for a player to see. The example I'll show you later on, maybe 2 of them, will be a little bit more in-depth example of how to use your eyes while engaging a blocker. He's lined up at 5 technique, but he's actually playing a B-gap rush. And again, gets his hand up while Aaron Rodgers is trying to deliver the football. It appears to me as if the Giants are repping this a lot, because I've seen 3 different players, Kayvon Thibodeaux and 2 other Giants players, do this. And look, as I say that, he's got a teammate next to him who could possibly get the pass deflection if Kayvon Thibodeaux doesn't. He doesn't have a sack yet. I understand that, some people would say, oh, he's off to a poor start, etc. He's only played 3 games. I don't think so. I don't agree with that assessment. I see a guy who covers people out in the flats. I saw him cover a wheel route by a tight end one time. I'm not including that in this video. You have multiple situations here of him tipping passes. This one, the inside linebacker, number 48, has clearly directed him to go out and cover the flats, and he's talented enough to do that. 2 of his pass drops at Oregon that I had on film last year in the pre-draft process were incredibly impressive in terms of being aware of how multiple routes threatened him. You can see he's come back onto the screen. I'm not sure what the call was that was so important for him to go line up out wide off screen to our right and then jump back here in the screen. But look at the explosiveness. The ability to close on a guy like Justin Fields, who, we know has elite athleticism for quarterbacks and just for athletes in general. And Kayvon Thibodeaux is able to close on him while he's throwing the football, get a quarterback hit. He only has 2 this year, I believe. Here he is off the left side, right side of our screen. And the athleticism, I think, is on display here. Thinking about rushing the passer, you can see he's getting his inside hand up, getting ready to run a move, and then the tackle inside releases past him. He immediately recognizes screen and gets involved back in the play. Oh, by the way, this is Jihad Ward, former Raven, in the Pernell McPhee role now, pretty much, as an edge defender, but lining up as an interior D tackle on a pass rush situation. He plays it quite well, too. He just runs down the line, makes the tackle. Kayvon Thibodeaux, elite athleticism, if you ask me, even for the edge defender position in the NFL. I would expect that at some point he's going to end up with 2 or 3 sacks in a game. Just hope it doesn't come against the Ravens. Another pass rush situation. This, I believe, is the 4th down that finished the game. And it's interesting to me that Aaron Rodgers goes opposite Kayvon Thibodeaux. They're clearly bringing a lot of pressure. We know Wink. We know who he is. Look at the defenders in the box. You got 8. So he's going to bring heat. And I think in that type of structure, eventually a guy like Kayvon Thibodeaux is going to come clean and get some easy sacks. He's going to earn some sacks with his athleticism and his get-off. It would not surprise me if after missing 2 games early, he ends up with 6, 8, 10 sacks, something like that. Against the run, a split zone concept. And, of course, we all remember in the preseason that nasty cut block. It looked like it could have injured him. He does a great job. I mean, you can see that, they get the heavy ball out and roll the ball at him every day because he's getting his hips back like a wrestler would, getting his hands out, but keeping his eyes up so he can redirect. And he does. He redirects inside to go make the tackle. I mean, it's still a positive gain, don't get me wrong. Kayvon Thibodeaux is involved in a lot. When he's on the field, he seems to be involved in everything. Another run play, he's to our right. The defense is left. And this is interesting. It's actually kind of an RPO, I would say. You got motion coming at him. Aaron Rodgers keeping the ball, like possibly he could throw it out into the flats. And look at the close here. And he's big enough and physical enough to tackle a strong running back like that. Just chop him down completely and destroy all forward momentum. There's some explosiveness when he finishes plays. I think it's going to be a unique challenge, if you ask me. The Ravens going against this Giants front. You got Jihad Ward. This is certainly not meant to be to denigrate him, but limited athletically when you compare him to a guy like Kayvon Thibodeaux, okay? Or even Ojulari. But very smart, very technical, understands the system, has played in this system for multiple years. Then over on the other side, you got Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeaux, who's extremely athletic. I think the Giants' defense presents some problems for the Ravens, so long as they don't get overly aggressive with their blitzes and their man coverage and open themselves up for big plays to Mark Andrews, Duvernay, or even Rashad Bateman if he's able to play. Another run play, Kayvon Thibodeaux over here on the defense's right, our left-hand side of the screen. And what I like about this is another example of him having great eyes. He's engaging the tackle, and then he just sees where the running back is going. So he's engaging the tackle. That's his pressure key, but he's able to have a visual key on the running back and then jump inside the B gap and help make the tackle. There's plenty of athleticism and finish to these plays here. I think you can tell. You guys let me know in the comment section if you disagree with my assessment that he's a dangerous football player to deal with, even for tackles. This is a left tackle that he's setting up, forcing him back inside to his help teammates. And then, by the way, He actually finishes on the bottom of this pile here after engaging a starting tackle in the NFL, a starting left tackle in the NFL. I think he's got the potential to be an elite defender, just based on the limited film that we've seen here. There are some plays that I have omitted for you, but in my opinion, Kayvon Thibodeaux has all the ability to make plays. He's a guy that Ravens fans should be worried about, to be honest with you, and should be watching in terms of where he's lined up and what concepts the Ravens are running at him. Because I really don't see anything that he reacts to poorly. He's only played 3 games. Again, 8 tackles, 1 or 2 quarterback hits, 1 fumble recovered, which I just showed you there for the second time. Hasn't recorded a sack yet. And we as Ravens fans know that Wink's system isn't built on 1 or 2 edge defenders getting, a consistent 25 or 30 pass rush opportunities in a given game. They'll do many things. They'll drop people out in the flats. They'll stunt people. I haven't seen as many twist stunts. I haven't seen Kayvon Thibodeaux being asked to line up at 9 technique and then long stick, to the B gap to his inside while someone else is looping around him. I haven't seen that as much as I thought that I would, but I've still yet to produce a video or anything on third downs. So it's my intention to look at the Giants defense in detail. I think offensively, in terms of the Giants, you're going to look at Saquon Barkley. It's not saying there's not other playmakers, but that's the guy you've got to figure out a way to limit or slow down, being he's got 530 plus rushing yards through 5 games. Let me know what you think about my initial thoughts looking at the Giants team in terms of trying to bring you some previews, scouting type information or data, and what you think of Kayvon Thibodeaux as a football player so far in the limited time that we've seen him on the field in the 2022 regular season.